Hi, I'm Hans Holman. I'm Executive Director of the Collar Institute of Private Equity at London Business School. We're here at our symposium. We've just had a panel discussion on regulation of private equity. Yes. I'm here with Stephen Schaefer, Professor of Finance at London Business School, and I was wondering, Stephen, just your take on that panel discussion. It was very interesting on some of the issues that the industry is facing at the moment. Could you please give us some of your perspectives?
Yes. It was very lively, I thought. And very good contributions both from the panel and from the audience. I think that one of the things that came out is that the kind of challenges the industry is facing at the moment are, in some sense, and particularly for larger firms, maybe actually not that great. Many of the larger firms are set up to kind of deal with compliance at the moment. This is another level. I think there was a good point raised about disclosure and whether this will put firms at a competitive disadvantage. But broadly speaking, there wasn't. It didn't sound sort of a disaster. Something sort of. However, what the kind of wasn't on the other side. Listening to, for example, the comments of Viral.
Yes.
Was only a very convincing story about why this is happening in the first place.
Yes, absolutely.
And my kind of perspective on that is that, to some extent, the PE sector and indeed a number of other parts of the financial system have been sort of caught up in what is, and I think what is always in a situation like this, a highly political process, which has to do with people's reaction to kind of crises. And if we go slightly more sort of broadly from PE at the moment, the kind of reaction and the sort of level of analysis has been kind of curious in some respects, and because there's a tremendous imperative on the part of both politicians and regulators to be seen to be doing something, even if the truth is you don't really know what to do. And it's comic in one sense, but it's actually quite serious in another sense, because one of the comments that Vincenzo made in response to a question about, well, we got into this mess, sort of what can we do to get out of it, and he seemed very I suspect realistically very pessimistic in terms of actually affecting much change in the kind of near future. And that's probably correct, because the regulatory mechanism, particularly in the EU, which requires a tremendously difficult job of kind of consensus building.
Yes. Once
people have got it, even if it's not a very good job, they're very loath to let it go. So this is a kind of a problem, I think, with what happens when you get crises, when suddenly there's a kind of imperative for action, but actually nobody has yet done quite the analysis to work out what it is we ought to do. And I thought that a comment that Vincenzo made that I strongly echo is that part of the solution, it's a very long-term issue, but part of the solution is that we all have to, we need a way of raising sort of a sophisticated the level of understanding of a lot of these sectors to a much higher level. Among whom? Among, let's say, business schools and people in business schools who do this. I mean, I think they have a good understanding, but often they don't have access to the kind of data that would allow them to then make sort of say really useful things in situations like this. The same goes for regulators, perhaps surprisingly, who actually maybe could get access to this information, but don't have either the time or the training to actually do the kind of analysis. And so what happens at these sort of crucial moments when there's an intensive debate about what to do about what seems to be a problem is that, and I think the public would really be kind of shocked in some way if they knew, but really a lot of these decisions are taken, with the flimsiest of kind of underpinnings. It doesn't apply across the board. There are clearly some issues in the banking. Well, even there, exactly what is wrong is an issue. But there were clearly some problems there. But there tends to be then this backwash that sort of spreads over to other parts of the financial system in ways that are just not terribly kind of constructive.
And some of the regulation is being applied in a very broad brush sense, and I think regulation has to be applied to individual asset classes, to private equity, hedge funds, other alternative assets.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Stephen. Your insights are very valuable.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.